Welcome, James, to Metalating Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Hellripper, this new album, Warlock Scream, and Withered Hats, long names to put them in for an album. So, and much is related to the metal world. Well, we're starting with a common question. How are you? How has the band been during these last 3 years? Because the last album was released 2 years ago, The Affair of the Poisons, 2020, and now we have our new album.
Yeah, so The Affair of the Poisons, the previous album, that was released, right in the middle of the pandemic. So we didn't get to properly tour that. We didn't get to promote it, as much as we wanted. We had a few tours cancelled, which was the downside. But yeah, it was released at a time where people maybe had more time to listen to music and stuff. A lot of people were working from home and things like that. So maybe they had a bit more time to listen to music and check out new things. But yeah, the album did well. I'm very pleased with how it went. And yeah, just since then, we've just been, playing shows, and I've writing music for the new album. And yeah, it's been okay. Aside from the whole pandemic thing, of course. Yeah, the band's kind of been growing and doing well. So yeah.
Great to know. Well, you said one thing, that the last album that didn't have a good promotion because the pandemic around the world. But now, now the things are much better to promote the last album. So into the new to create a new series, perhaps you will promote both albums, because The Affair Gods and the Poison was released during the pandemic. Now you have a new album. So how will be the new set list for Hellripper Live?
Yeah, so I mean, we did do a couple of tours to support, I guess, kind of support the last album. But it just happened a lot later, So we did a UK tour with Gamma Bomb in the summer of last year, the summer of 2022. And we've done a European tour with Spectral Wound in October. So we did get to play a lot of the new album songs. Of course, we had some festivals and some shows throughout 2021 and 2022. It was just, it's always better to be able to promote something as soon as possible. We had a tour with Midnight and Red Death cancelled, which would have been great, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. But yeah, we did get quite a lot of shows in support of the album, but just a lot later than we would have liked to. And yeah, this time we're going to be doing some summer things in Europe, and some festivals throughout the year, and we have a few shows in the UK with Warbringer. And yeah, we had a show just this weekend, which was technically kind of like an album release show. So we played a few of the new songs in there, which was really fun, really cool to get some new songs in the set, and interesting to see how people react to the new tracks. And yeah, so yeah, the set list we like to kind of change the set list, depending on how we're feeling and how people are reacting, and just to give a bit of something different, we like to change it up. But yeah, we'll be adding some of the new songs from the new album, and of course the last album, for shows this year.
Okay. So, talking about these aspects of live presentations, I saw that you are the only member during the albums, no? But when you have a presentations live, who will handle much better the attitude, the feeling of the band when you present the music from Hellripper live?
Yeah, so I've got I've got a few friends of mine playing live with me. It's been the same live lineup now for maybe almost 4 years or something, just over 4 years, I think. So it's important to me that the other band members can of course play the songs, which they're very capable of doing. They're great musicians, and most importantly that I can get along with them, that they're nice people, and that I can become friends with. So yeah, it's great to have people like that that can do the live shows with me. But yeah, the live show and the studio are two different kind of things for me. I view them. The In the studio, yes, like you say, it's all me doing all the instruments mixing and stuff, aside from a few guest appearances. But live, yeah, I encourage the other guys to bring in their own touch to the music, you know. So occasionally the other guys will do like a different guitar solo or whatever. The drums will change and things like that. So yeah, the group of guys that I have right now are very capable, very good guys, and yeah, I enjoy playing live shows with them. It's they've got the attitude, they've got the energy, and yeah, it works well, I think.
Okay, okay. Well, talking about now a little bit of history of Hellripper. Because Hellripper has 3 albums until now, because your first album was released in 2017, but this album was released independently at that time. But then this album has this huge impact into the underground scene, because Barbarian Rocks, Granite Factor Records, and now the biggest label as Peaceville Records, it released the album in CD. But now then the band expand. Well, they maintain this contract with Peaceville Records since the beginning to now. So how do you see this accomplished with the band? Because sometimes it's very difficult to enter a label like Peaceville Records, is it?
Yeah, when I was contacted by Peaceville, yeah, I was quite worried, you know. Well, not worried, just one of my concerns was, you know, how would things change? Because yeah, for how long? Four years or so, I was, you know, like independent and working with smaller labels, you know, like independent labels. And yeah, I just kind of did whatever I wanted, you know. I had no pressure to do things, no deadlines, no interference and things like that, you know. No one to tell me, oh, this isn't good, please change your music, head in this direction, and things like that. So, you know, signing to a bigger label was kind of you know, I didn't know what it was going to be like. I had no idea of how these lit things worked. But yeah, since signing with Peaceville, almost nothing has changed in that respect. They don't interfere with the music. They don't. They're very easy to work with. They're very accommodating, you know. If I have an idea for something, or I want something to be done in a certain way, I just let them know. I just ask them, and usually they'll accommodate my ideas, and usually it works, you know. They will occasionally suggest things, you know, like in terms of promotion, or give me advice on what the best thing to do would be if I ask for it. But yeah, they don't interfere with the music at all. I still run all my like my merch, my store. I'm still in complete control of that. My social media, I still do all of that. My emails, I still do everything there. It's basically the same as before, except now I have Peaceville's resources, you know. So I have a lot more promotion. They have a lot more distribution and worldwide distribution. They have more like contacts, you know. And so it's been very easy working with Peaceville, and yeah, I don't know what the future holds. I'm happy with Peaceville and how everything's went with Peaceville. So yeah, I don't really have anything to complain about in that respect. But we'll see what the future holds. I'm not really. I'm kind of focused on this new album right now. Just focused on that, and then we will see what happens as I, you know, work on new stuff and all of that kind of thing.
Okay. Okay, well, as talking about a little history again from the band, you started the band in 2014, so then you released new three albums with the last one, Wireless Grim and the Greater Gags. For that, so for you, what kind of evolution the band taken during the, well, compared to the first album to now? Perhaps the band evolution with the new aspect, because for me, listening to this new album, you have more melodic stuff, you have a more rock and roll stuff into there. So what is your opinion about now the new development of the Hellripper compared to the past?
Yeah, I think there's definitely I've tried to incorporate, more influences from not just the black speed, thrash, punk. I've tried to incorporate a lot of other influences, whether it be something like Agalloch or Typo Negative or Opeth, to even things like Alice in Chains, and just the Beatles, even anything that I listen to. So I try and incorporate that, but make it work within the Hellripper sound. So yes, like you say, I think it's resulted in more melodic, a more melodic album. I think a lot of the songs are a bit more complex in their structures. Now some songs are 8 minutes long, 7, 8 minutes long, as opposed to before the songs were usually 2 to 3 minutes. So there's a lot of things, a lot more things going on in terms of structure. But yeah, I think the songs are better. That's the main thing I want. That's my goal, just to kind of write good songs. And yeah, I think, yeah, it's still Hellripper. It's still speed metal, black speed metal, but just with a bit more twists, a bit more outside influences, and yeah, there's some different stuff in there. Even the first mid-tempo, slower Hellripper track with the title track, and I was more confident to try some new things. I've got the bagpipes in that track, which is something obviously I've never done before, and yeah, it's fun and it's a good challenge to kind of incorporate these different things and see what happens and create good music.
Okay, as I said, yeah, you are Visible Records, but the band has one underground sound. But curious thing, the fans think doesn't think like that. So when a band enters a label like Visible Records, usually the fans think that this band is more like mainstream now. It's not underground anymore. So for
Yeah.
you, perhaps do you still consider it like underground band, or perhaps you enter the big leagues, a mainstream band, because big label, 3 albums in a row with label, you have a lot of, well, perhaps you have a lot of tour and gigs scheduled for this year, festivals, etc.
Yeah, I would still say that Hellripper is still an underground band. I don't really, I don't really know that when you qualify to be like a bigger band. I'd still say we're very underground. But just yeah, we're growing. The band is becoming a bit more well known. That's all I can really hope for. I just want to. The main thing for me is to write the music that I want to write. It doesn't matter if a band is mainstream or if the band is underground or if the band has no listeners whatsoever. I think if the music is good and the music is authentic, that is the most important part, and that is something that's something that is important to me, and that's something that I don't compromise on, regardless of label or who I'm working with. I want the music to be just true to myself, and but yeah, so I still think we're underground. I still think the music is true to myself. Like I say before, I've had no interference with any label I've worked with for what the music should sound like. The music has always just been 100% what I want to do. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, since the beginning, the lyric aspect of the lyric subjects from Hellripper are from the evil, from death, black magic, Satan, etc. Perhaps do you consider like a satanic person? Perhaps just It's a matter of art of your expression to talk about Satan, evil, death.
Yeah, it's just a kind of, like an interest in that kind of thing. I'm not uh into that thing. I think it fits the music well, and I'm interested in, the kind of like the things behind it, how like people's beliefs and how that affects the society, like with witchcraft and witch hunts and things like that, like how that happened. And of course there's some just some lyrics in the past have been like I mean, just kind of over the top, horror movie, horror type stories, just with Satan taking over the world and everyone being killed and stuff like that, just horror movie type stuff that fits the music well. And on this album, of course, there's some I tried something a little bit different with the album is centered around Scotland and the theme of Scotland. So each track is inspired by Scotland in some way, whether it's Macbeth or the works of Robert Burns, or like folklore such as the Knuckle of V, the album opener, or Mester Stoorworm, the last track on the album. So yeah, it's just things I think fit with the music. It's things that I do have an interest in. But yeah, I'm not a satanic person or evil person or anything. It's just, yeah.
Okay. Oh, now, as you can see now, the people, bueno, the people of this new generation are, bueno, are spreading music just by singles, about like the 40s and 50s. But now, and a curious thing is mostly people of this, whether you from your age, 27, 28, or 25, they love to do this kind of playlists. So into the Spotify, into the Bandcamp, into the iTunes, etc., etc. So for you, which song of from this new album, Warlock Green of the Guitar has well captured whole essence from this new album for you?
I think the first single we released, The Knuckle of V, which is the opening track of the album, is probably the track that represents the album the most. It's got kind of everything in there. It's fast. It's got quite a few different parts to it. There's a slower part, there's a melodic part with guitar harmonies, there's two guitar solos, there's a black metal part. So it kind of represents the whole album, though the album does have some different things going on. Like I said, there's the mid-paced track. In the middle, there's some straightforward kind of metal punk songs and things like that. But yeah, the Knuckle of V is one of my favorites as well. And yeah, I think that's why I chose it as the first single as well, just because it's probably the best representation out of all the songs that works, I think.
Okay. Okay. And to this aspect, though, with this age of issue of your generation, how do you see most of your age just pick singles and you are doing albums?
Yeah, I think it's especially like in the hip hop and pop kind of scenes where singles are more of a thing. But I think metal music, I think the metal scene, albums are more important overall. I think, yeah, just the kind of culture of metal and what the metal fans want, I think, is more rooted in albums. Of course, there are advantages, to releasing singles. Yeah, I think the metal culture and the metal scene is just different to the rest. So I think metal albums will always be, or maybe not always, but metal albums will always be very important for the metal scene. It's just yeah, a lot of metal fans are really interested in physical media, vinyl and CD and stuff like that, compared to other scenes and other like subcultures. But yeah, I think with the singles and EPs and things, because of everything with streaming and Spotify and all of that, it's it is an important factor to try and stay relevant, you know, because there's so much things happening nowadays. So many bands are releasing new things, and you're not just competing with other music now, you're competing with YouTube and new TV series on Netflix every day, and new live streams and stuff like that. So you're trying to compete with all sorts of media. So if you release an album or something, you know, sometimes it feels like you release it and it's talked about for me for a little while, like a week, and then the next week there's new albums and everything, and you're forgotten about. That's how it kind of feels sometimes, or how it kind of looks sometimes. So I think, yeah, people try and combat that with the hip hop pop technique of singles, where, you know, you're kind of constantly in people's heads with new releases all the time. And if you have a new release, Spotify will sometimes push it on playlists, and of course a lot of people, including myself, find out about songs via playlists and things like that. So yeah, I think there's disadvantages and advantages to doing both. Me myself, I prefer to release an album. It's just, I like to have a group of songs together, and it kind of feels more of a thing, you know. And it's, yeah, a long-winded answer, but yeah, for me, albums are my preferred method of release. Or in some cases, I mean, a single can be beneficial, or an EP, when you have, you know, something that maybe doesn't fit an album, you know, aesthetically or something. I do plan to release a couple more EPs in the future, just because there's something that has a different vibe to what I want to achieve in the albums. And yeah, it's just, yeah, people prefer different things, I guess.
Okay, okay. Well, talking about, well, we're a bit close to this interview, James. And for this, what are the future plans that the band has for this new album? Perhaps on a European tour. You told me you will
Yeah.
schedule some festivals, etc. Perhaps you're a North American tour, or who knows, Latin American tours in the next months or next years. Who knows?
Yeah, so yeah, for this year, it's basically just touring the UK and Europe primarily this year. Like I said, yeah, we're going to be away for most of the summer. And yeah, we're doing things kind of all year, just at various points, but that'll be mostly based in Europe and the UK. Hopefully next year for 2024, we have some tours planned, but it's Europe. It's quite difficult for a band like us to get to, you know, places like the US, because of like the costs of visas, and the it's very time consuming. You need to do so much paperwork, and yeah, the costs are just extreme. And yeah, so we're trying to do it. I'm trying to kind of do everything properly. I don't want to go you know, prematurely. I want to go when the time is right, when it makes sense. And yeah, like you say, I'd love to get to you know, Latin America and Australia, things like that. Just, I'd love to go everywhere, but it's just got to be the right timing, and the right opportunities, and everything has to align. It's a bit more difficult and complicated than it is just, you know, to do Europe and the UK. So while we have these kind of opportunities in Europe and the UK, it's best to do that for now, I think. But we are in talks with people about going elsewhere, and yeah, like I say, it's just got to be the right time, the right circumstances and things. But yeah, and in between that, like I said, I'm planning to release a couple of EPs, but probably in 2024. And yeah, so I'm just working on new music. I've started writing the next album. I've started writing a couple of EPs. And yeah, so it's just kind of it's the same old, really. The same as usual, just writing music and touring, and hopefully the album does well. We'll see in about 4 days. We'll see people's reactions, which is cool. I look forward to getting the album out there finally. It's been a while since I started writing it, so yeah, it'll just be carrying on live, new songs, yeah, just the usual.
Okay. Okay. One of the last questions before we finish. Well, you know that England is most well known, like because is where the heavy metal born with Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, etc. And and also the death metal has a personal sound there. The grindcore is the same there. So what do you decide at the beginning of the Hellripper to lean down to a black metal sound? Because as I remember, never England present a black metal trend like a personal sound over the years. Just the only two bands that played at the 90s with personal sounds, Feel and Hecatron, with some vibes of black metal, bueno, they personal sound.
Yeah, yeah, the UK has never been like widely known for the black metal sound, but yeah, I think Hellripper would probably be kind of more similar to, you know, bands like Motorhead or Venom. So again, both UK bands, which so I guess it's kind of similar in that way. But yeah, it's just the reason I went to do this sound is because it's just my favorite type of music. It's what I like to write. Yeah, it's not a very complicated answer. I just love doing it. I love the music. I love bands like, you know, Venom, Motorhead, all these other bands, Toxic Holocaust, Dark Throne, Sabbath, things like that. Yeah, I just love all this music and I love writing it. And yeah, it was never really a hard decision to make. It was just something that came naturally to me. And yeah, and I'm glad that people seem to react to it.
Okay. Well, James, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoy this one like me doing this one. Congratulations on the new album. We review it and all Metalatum. You can see on website. Perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans that expect someday Hellripper arrive here for a full Latin American tour and Metaletum followers?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, hopefully we can make that tour happen. Nothing confirmed yet, nothing planned yet, but it will happen. And yeah, thank you everyone that supported the band. Thank you everyone that allows me to do this and helped me get to the stage that I'm at right now. And check out the new album, Warlocks, Grim and Withered Hags, out via Peaceful Records, 17th of February. You can hear that on YouTube or Bandcamp or Spotify, everything, all your streaming services. And yeah, I appreciate all the support and I hope you like the new album.